The silent treatment. A question from my subscribers. Is a silent treatment frowned upon in court? My ex won't respond to any solicitor's letters or messages from me trying to get a settlement sorted. He has now stopped contacting the children. He has literally abandoned us as a family and pays nothing towards the mortgage or his children. He wants to force me to take him to court as he knows this will cost me. He is now living with his new supply and her children. Firstly, sister, I feel for you. I feel for you. This is not easy. And I've been a companion to many of my clients going through very tricky divorces with narcissistic individuals. One tactic is the silent treatment, but not only to you, they don't engage with the courts, they don't engage with solicitors, they just go mute, and that prolongs the divorce, and it does result in you having to front costs. However, over time, depending on the judge you get, that may well be recouped in the settlement. But in the meantime, it means that you have to put up a lot of funds to get the process going, and it is not easy. There aren't any quick and easy, comfortable answers to this situation, because you may well not have an endless supply of money. So you are going to be incredibly stressed. You are taking the right steps. You've gone legal. And my hope for you is that your legal team understand narcissistic abuse, because it really helps if your legal team understand the psychology of the individual that you're dealing with. My encouragement to you is to continue doing what you're doing. But obviously, like I said, you may not have an endless pool of money. It can be frowned upon when it comes to settlement. That is what I've seen, not my personal experience, but in the settlement, based on the fact that you've got evidence of your reasonableness, that can assist you in the settlement and favor you. You may well get money, your fees returned. Don't quote me on this. Speak to your solicitor. And I don't know if there are any other forums, or actually, if you send me a direct email, because there is a coach that I know who deals with individuals going through narcissistic abuse, but going through the divorce. But I know that they can be very tricky, and I've seen it via my professional experience where they don't interact and they delay. However, the settlement did reflect their delaying and the expenses that the other partner, the empathic person, had to front. But it does mean that you have to load up on the funds in the beginning. So it's a very stressful, difficult time. You're already in it and you're going through it. My encouragement to you, and I hope you can fund the divorce process, is keep going. You've got this far. One person I know, it took 8 years. Another person, 4 years. So, and I think, your legal team should be advising you on what happens if at every single stage of the process, that person doesn't interact with you, doesn't provide the financials. If they don't interact with you at all, your legal team need to be advising you about what the next steps are. And my hope is that at the settlement, that person's difficultness is reflected and you get back your fees. Now, I don't want to labor this video because I don't have the legal expertise around divorcing a narcissistic individual, but I've worked with enough people going through that situation. I've worked with empathic people who the narcissist is interacting. There's always lots of things like hiding money and all of those things, not wanting to contribute, not wanting to leave the house, you may be having to leave the house or having to stay in the house in difficult situations. But in this instance, you've said that they've left, they're on to the next victim. The next partner. So ensure that your legal team understand the psychology that you're dealing with. And if possible, if you have the funds, seek professional support. Now, I presume financially you may well be challenged, but seek out the Women's Trust. If you are in the UK, they may be able to support you with one-to-one support as you go through this very, very difficult time. So my hope to you is, listen, personally, I truly believe narcissism is spiritual warfare. Narcissists believe they're gods and they want people to worship them. And when we no longer worship them, the mask slips and you're left with the putridness of their personality. And they have no regard. They'll come for your house, the kids, like your money, your finance. They have zero regard. Once you have clocked, you've understood, you've got it, and you want out, the mask has slipped. So you're seeing the essence of the individual you've been dealing with. Congratulations for getting out. That may not feel like the best of news. You're already in it. My hope for you, try to get your solicitors to give you an estimate so you can start to work out what this is going to cost you. But for every single client who I've supported going through the divorce, expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. Sometimes, you see, expect the unexpected. Sometimes we may assume it will take this amount of time. If, say for example, you thought the divorce might take a year, 2 years, but you may have assumed that time frame based on them being reasonable. But we know they're very unreasonable people, and now you are seeing how unreasonable they are. What I would say to you is you need to adjust your timelines to factor in worst case scenario, that there is no contact, they don't interact at all. So if you can repurpose, get your head around the fact that they won't interact, that it's going to be the longest drawn out period, at least then you are in a better place to be settled. Because if, for example, your solicitor says, well, if they don't interact at all, if they don't interact with the courts, if they don't reply to any letters, and the solicitor says at worst it's going to be 4 years, at least you know what you're up against. 4 years. 4 years to detach from these people. Wicked. And I think the legal system is not working in people's favor. It's just too drawn out and a long-winded process. But what do I know? I'm not a legal professional. But what I would say to you for your psychological well-being is adapt your time frames. That is in your power. We have to work with what is in your power. Adapt your time frames. Get your solicitor to tell you, advise you on worst case scenario. If they don't respond to any letters, any court summons, how long will that take? That will put you in a better place, because at least you then are coming from an expectation that they'll make it as difficult as possible. My sister, I feel for you. If you need to, reach out. You are not alone. And my encouragement is get round a community of potentially other people who are going through divorce, so that you can get tips, advice about how best to support yourself. I hope this video has been of benefit to you. Do look after you. It's your girl, Keely Taverner. If you've got any questions, comments, feel free to post or get on my subscriber list by going to my website, keyforchange.com. Do take care of you, because look what they do. You see what they do to people? You love them, you trusted them, you built with them, you have children with them, and then they abandon you and leave you to fund everything. No one could have ever told you that. No one could have ever told you that they would deal with you like that. And when it happens, it hurts like hell. That betrayal hurts like hell. Look after yourself, my sister. My encouragement to you is You got to get spiritual on this one, because your human head may not be able to cope with this. But if you come from a spiritual place, because that narcissism is, like I said, it's a God complex. You're no longer a worshiper of that person, right? You've got to learn to look after yourself. And one of the challenges we have is we try to work it out with our head. Sometimes we need to let go, surrender, and say, you know what? I need this divorce for my children. I need this divorce for my sanity. And do all you can and just surrender it over to the higher power, whoever you believe in. Jah, Rastafari, Christian, Buddha, Allah, Jesus, I don't care who it is. But sometimes you got to get spiritual on this situation, because if you try to lean on your own understanding and your own head, it could compromise your well-being, and your children need you to be intact as they go through this season in their life. Do take care of you, because if you don't, well, we already know. Peace.